Okay, we're good now.
Excellent. And I was just going to say, Ms. Taylor, do you want to just establish a quorum and do a roll call?
Sure, we do have a quorum. Mr. Foster is here. Ms. Marquez is here. Ms. Johnson is present. Ms. Fulmer is present. Ms. Taylor is present. Ms. Johnson is present. And Ms. Tatanchi is present. We have 3 members that are absent, Mr. Fassinger, Mr. Muhammad, and Pastor Connell.
Okay.
We have a quorum.
Yay. And then the next thing on the agenda is actually to approve the agenda. If someone would like to move to do that.
I move.
And would anyone like to second?
Second.
Okay. And are we all in favor of approving the agenda? All right, thank you very much. And then we also need to approve the previous minutes from our October meeting. Oh, and Ms. Taylor, we have 2 additional members that just joined. I just want to make sure you saw that.
Got it.
Thank you. Would anyone like to move to approve the October minutes?
I move.
Second.
Okay. And are anyone not in favor of approving the October minutes, or can we do like a thumbs up for in favor? Thank you. Okay. All right. So the next thing that we have to do per the Go Team rules is we had our work session last Wednesday, right? Yes. It's been a long week. And we created a sort of report out of the work session. Thank you very much, Ms. Taylor, for taking notes and doing that. And I don't know, I think we have to sort of like present the report at this meeting. Ms. Taylor, do you want to just like sort of briefly summarize for those present what the major points in the report?
Sure. It's coming up. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Let me find the work session notes. Okay. All right. So in our meeting, our discussion, we discussed the vision statement and the mission. Basically, we talked about that it was created 5 years ago. It encompasses the expectations of IB. The Go Team members, a few of the Go Team members have concern with the language in the vision, i.e. school of choice. We gave suggestions such as beloved community school, school of preference, cherished, esteemed, valued. The need to use the word was appropriate at the time. However, it no longer fits the space in which we are in. We would like to add words that expresses our love for Parkside. The mission statement, basically we talked about it and we basically felt that the mission statement was appropriate, encompasses academics, social, emotional, and diversity. And it's also developed with the IB focus in mind. Ms. Gale also shared that at the Boys and Girls Club, the students are demonstrating those qualities. So she felt that it was appropriate as well. We talked about the SMART goals. We said that our SMART goals need to be aligned with the APS goals. And the baseline comes from our EOG from 2018. The plan
Is this cutting out for y'all too?
Yes, sorry, I wasn't sure if it was my computer.
Yeah, me
For
neither.
everyone. Ms. Taylor, I don't know if you can hear us, but you're sort of cutting in and out. So I'm just going to take over where she left off, if that's okay. I also have this open. So the SMART goals we talked about, this is a 5-year plan, and there are 5 areas that APS has called the APS 5 that our SMART goals need to be aligned with. And those are fostering academic excellence for all, focused on literacy and numeracy, and building a culture of student support, SMART goals based around personalized learning, equipping and empowering leaders and staff, which is creating a system of school support at the district and school level. And then Mr. Foster was going to work on drafting some SMART goals and priorities that we could then discuss at our next meeting in our forthcoming work session. And we were also just going to reach out to APS.
I think I keep getting disconnected. Am
Oh
I
yeah,
right?
Sorry, Miss Taylor. I kind of took over where you dropped out just so we could get through it. And I was just getting to the, we had reached out to APS just to make sure that we were clear on how sort of the plan needs to be structured and how the SMART goals and the priorities need to be structured. And so.
No problem. I guess I got kicked out. Is that what happened?
You did. I'm sorry. It was
Okay.
cutting in and out for a minute and then it just went away altogether. Your microphone. So that is, essentially what we had, that's the report, the sort of top line from the notes that came out of that work session. And so, as I mentioned in our email, I wanted us to have a discussion in this meeting because I really feel like to make progress through on the strategic plan in time, like we should aim hopefully to utilize about half of our meeting time to talk through strategic plan stuff, so that like hopefully that will help cut down on the number of work sessions that we need to have. And then I also think that having the mission statement and the vision statement, having a version that was drafted that we could then kind of talk through and tweak and make changes to as we feel needs to be done was really helpful in that work session. And so I thought it would be really great for us to kind of take that same tack with the SMART goals and the school priorities. So I had attached, Principal Foster had created, because I know he reached out to APS as well, just to make sure that, we're delineating these properly. And so to create 4 SMART goals and then 4 sort of like lists of priorities that would then support those SMART goals, which I sent in the email with the invitation or the agenda for this meeting. And so I'm hoping that what we can do is look through those goals and priorities that he's put together and maybe start to have a discussion on some of those at this meeting. And then we can pick up where we left off at the next work session. And if anybody also wants to go back and talk a bit more about the mission statement and the vision statement at this meeting as well, we can do that. But I think devoting some time in these meetings to going through some of this will just help us from a schedule perspective. So if that works for everybody, I would like to just go ahead and sort of jump into a strategic plan related conversation at this point. Do people want to talk about anything from the work session last week? Is there anything that we feel like we kind of want to discuss further today, or do you want to just jump into the SMART goals and the priorities that were circulated in the email?
I would suggest that we finalize the mission and vision statements.
Yeah.
Get those done and out of the way because they were relatively easy.
Yes.
The mission statement was pretty much okay. It was just the wording and the vision. And then we can jump into those goals and the goals and then the strategic priorities.
Yeah. And since we're in an actual meeting and not a work session, I don't know how like if we can sort of like sign off, like approve parts of the strategic plan, like piecemeal like this. And because in the work session, we can't actually vote on anything or take action. And so if it would be helpful, like we could talk more about the mission and vision statement and actually vote on like finalizing that language so that that's done. And then move on to the next phase if that works for people.
Yeah, and we don't have to vote on the mission and vision separately from the entire plan, but we can.
Right. That wasn't, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
So I had some time.
yes.
I had some time to come up with something, kind of piggybacking off of our vision that we already have. And I am going to just throw it in the chat really quickly. Basically, it says innovative community school where lifelong learning encapsulates a diverse population of students who are inspired by not only their peers, the teachers, staff, and the community, but also to do extraordinary deeds in the world. Now, in saying that, I didn't know if that was a little too wordy or if that really, if we want to stick to kind of what we already have, but kind of just switching up a few words. But that's my vision.
I really like the part where you say that they're inspired by their teachers, but also staff and peers. I know that's not in the original vision statement, but I think that really speaks to like the whole school community aspect. I don't know if anyone else has thoughts.
I agree, Jennifer. I hadn't thought about that, and it's such a good point, Miss Porter Johnson, that I think we do kind of like always think about how our teachers impacting kids, and they're definitely being impacted by each other. And I think that that should be in there, and I'm glad that you thought of that.
How do you guys feel about the word innovative? I know that kind of goes in a different direction than what we had talked about in the work session, where we had we were, tinkering around with words that were more along the lines of like beloved community school or, valued community school, where it was more about sort of a like warm feelings, I guess, towards Parkside. And the word innovative feels like it is it's a different sort of emphasis. I'm wondering, do you want to share, Ms. Porter Johnson, why, what your thoughts were around that?
You're on mute.
Oh, you might be on mute.
I'm sorry, trying to navigate through.
Yeah.
through several things here. So basically, my thought pattern in terms of the innovative, I know when people think of innovation, they may think of like new strategies or methods or something. And so I kind of wanted the vision to speak as to, of course, a vision where we're headed. The trajectory of where we're headed. So my thought pattern was really just along the lines of new ideas that are, advanced within the school setting.
Do others want to weigh in with their thoughts?
Diverse population of students who are inspired not only by their peers, teachers, and staff. And again, I'm not tied to it, so you know,
I
it
mean,
won't hurt my feelings.
we appreciate your thoughtful process in coming up with this, and also your willingness to be edited.
So one word that I was thinking about is the word esteemed, which I think incorporates some of the kind of beloved piece that we were talking about last week, as well as some of the innovation. And I wonder about that, like esteem, like held in high esteem because of the way we feel emotionally, because of the respect we have. And so I would just throw that out there as a potential alternative. But I'm so, Ms. Porter Johnson, thank you so much for your work on this. It's so, it's lovely to read.
Is there any way that we could take the part that we all really agree about, Ms. Porter's, like the students who are inspired not only by their peers, teachers, and staff, if we can bring that part that everybody seems to agree with, encompasses what we're trying to do or where we're headed to, and somehow add that to kind of this base that we have over here. And maybe we look at a community school, an esteemed community school where teachers inspire a diverse population of students and somehow bring those two together, that piece that's in here.
I agree with Principal Foster that I kind of like the structure of the vision statement, the way that it's worded, but I want to bring in like a lot of the ideas and the language that Ms. Porter Johnson suggested, because I think it's really awesome. And I think speaks to so much of what we're trying to capture here. But how do people feel about like an innovative or an esteemed community school where teachers, staff, and peers inspire a diverse population of students to become lifelong learners, who care about and take pride in their community, or who care about their community and are motivated to do extraordinary deeds in the world, or something along those lines. And could we bring in the peers and staff part, like to just come directly after teachers?
Students who are inspired not only by peers and teachers, staff, and community, but also to do extraordinary. Let's see.
Right.
Right. Or like you were just saying, like where a diverse population of students is inspired by
Right.
not only teachers, but peers but staff and peers. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask if I could maybe throw another wrench in that got me thinking when I forgot who posted to the chat, the other one. But because it's an elementary school, is there something that could be said like, where it says beginning or lays the foundation for life? Is the beginning for lifelong learning or lays the foundation for lifelong learning? That's really what struck me as soon as I read the proposed one.
That's a good point.
That is
I mean,
good. That's great.
I think when I said when I read to become lifelong learners, I sort of, to me, that was like maybe a little bit implied, but we could certainly be more explicit about it. I think that's not a bad idea. How do others feel?
I agree.
I have a bus that came back. I'll be right back.
I agree. I have one thing. I'm just curious. I can't decide if I feel I really loved the word beloved.
Mhm.
I just felt like it carried a lot of like what Will was saying. It had the same like feeling as like people are choosing this place because it's like such a, a place where there's love and care and the community really supports it. I really liked that word. And I'm wondering, I can't decide if I feel like esteemed has that same feeling. I like esteemed because I like how it combines innovative and beloved. I really like that. But also I felt like beloved really packed like a punch just on the grounds of like how much people are committed and devoted to the school. And
Yeah.
I don't back up and like bring something back up that we already decided on esteemed, but I'm just wondering how others feel about that.
I feel you, Ms. Fulmer. Like, to me, it's like esteemed, which is obviously a very positive word, but then it's like beloved. Like, it has that warm and fuzzy feeling, and that, like you were saying, like it feels like a commitment also, which when you're talking about an elementary school, like, to Mr. Bassinger's point, like there's something, just as we're laying the foundation, like there's also something about that warm and fuzzy feeling. Miss Taylor, do you have thoughts? I'm calling you out.
Yes, you're calling me out. I do love the word beloved, and just knowing that it's what each one of us holds near and dear to our hearts, as far as just the school, the community, and the staff, and how I think it gives a strong feeling. It's more of a feeling word. So, but I'm impartial. I'm fine with whatever words we really are come with as a team. I'm not like held tight to anything right now, to be honest with you. Am I cutting in and out again?
No.
No.
Oh,
You're
okay.
very clear.
We say a beloved community school where teachers inspire a diverse population of students and lay the foundation for those students to become lifelong learners, and somehow add in that part about, I'm still trying to figure out how can we add in students being inspired not only by teachers, but by peers and by staff. How can we encompass that? Could maybe if we step away for about 10 minutes and we all took both these and see what we could come up with.
Mhm.
I think, because I can't think with the, with a
I
lot of
agree.
conversation happening.
I
And
agree.
and we all come back and present something, and then just
Yes.
decide, which one fits, and then tweak that one to finalize.
Okay.
Do me a favor, Mr. Foster, is there any way for you to copy that and stick it in the chat, or is that a
This one,
PDF? Yes.
I think
See
I
how I can
copy it.
merge them together.
Yeah, I can copy it. There we go. So Now we have both of them there.
Yes, thank
And
you.
if we could just see if we can come up with something. So want to do about 10 minutes? Is that fine
Yes.
with everybody? So
It
we'll-
is 3:58. We'll come back at 4:08.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Great. And I'll keep this up. It'll be up there. When you finish, if you just put yours in the chat, I'll copy it and put it on this Word document. Okay, I think it's time, Ms. Taylor.
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. I think I captured everyone who put something in the chat. They're all up here. Any thoughts?
There's so many shared phrases. I feel like we're really all on essentially the same page. It's just a matter of finalizing sort of like the exact wording, but I'm glad to see that everyone seems to be essentially in agreement about like the message that we're trying to get across.
As far as just phrasing, I like the second and the fourth. Well, I like them all, but I like the second and the fourth.
Sorry, Ms. Fulmer, you said the second and which one?
Fourth, the last one on the first page. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, I agree. I do like the second one for sure.
I like number 2.
Can you add the word to in the second one? Can we add the word to, who work together to build a foundation?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Who together, wait a minute. Who together to build, okay.
Wait, sorry, it was supposed to be who together build a foundation. If we do that too, it would be who
Oh,
work
yeah.
together to build a foundation. It could be either who together build a foundation for, or who work together to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got you. I may have been reading it with the
I
word.
think I
in
did
mind.
too. I think my mind inserted the word work in there.
Yeah.
I have one question about number 2, which I also really like, but I know that this was developed with some IB thinking in mind. And I'm wondering if we needed that before
is
we
the
said
IB?
something about the world. Do we feel like we need to have a nod to the world in here because of IB?
Learning and community engagement.
How
does it
about
not
and
matter?
lifelong learning and engagement in their community and world?
Yeah, that would be a pretty easy way to
So-
broaden that if we felt like we needed to.
So it was for lifelong learning and engagement in their community and world. Good call, Jennifer. Ms. Marquez, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. So formal in the Go Team meetings. Is there any other thoughts, or do we all like this second version?
It captures everything that we've discussed. It just moved a couple of words around. And by adding that engagement piece, I think really adds to what we're trying to do because we want community to be engaged. So I'm happy with it. I like it.
Yay.
Will you put it in the chat so I can put it in the notes?
Go Team. And this may be all we really have time for on the strategic plan for today, because I just want to make sure we have enough time for the principal's report. Maybe we can all like go over the document that Principal Foster provided us with in advance of our work session for next week. And then we can just dive straight into that next Wednesday, if that's okay with everyone.
I will send you, I added the suggestion that Ms. Porter Johnson made around that
Oh, yes,
Had
yes.
something around first and
So
second grade.
an updated version. Yeah.
Yes, I'll send that to you and you can send that out.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And then, so the last item on the agenda is the principal's report, which, because we had talked like about one of the 1-year school improvement plan goals being around like out of school suspension and discipline, and that was one of the strategic goals for the school. I thought it would be good for Principal Foster to present some data around that, just to inform our thinking as we move forward with the strategic plan, goals and priorities, since the previous report was more on the academic side. And so that we have about 15 minutes left for that, and then any discussion that we want to have.
When we look at attendance, the district records an average daily attendance rate. Right now, as of this morning, we are at 91.8% of our students coming to school every day. We are above the district's average at 89.8. So our average daily attendance right now is in a good spot. Where we are looking at issues is when we look at the state reporting. Right now, the state reports attendance by being the number of students that have been absent more than 10% of the time they've been enrolled. So if you have a student that has been enrolled for 2 days and they miss one of those days, then that student falls on that report, where as is reported as a student who has not been in school more than 10% of the time they've been enrolled. And that's how it impacts our CCRPI score based on attendance, that group of students that have missed more than 10% of the days they've been enrolled in their school. So right now we have 161 of those students. Some of those students haven't been enrolled for 30 days yet. Some of those students are newly enrolled. And so once they are in school for a certain number of days, that will change, but they have to get to that number first. But there is 161 of them. And then there is 86 students that are at risk. That means they are somewhere close to that number, and they may fall into that category if they missed another day or two of school. And that changes as we add the days onto the school year. The more we go to school, the higher that number gets, as long as kids are coming. Right now, our highest attendance rate is at 4th grade with 92.8, and our lowest is at 1st grade with 91.9 average daily average attendance rate. So it's not real bad right now. And some of the things that we've done to kind of make sure that we're encouraging kids to come to school every day is, number one, we're doing the robocalls, whereas parents will get a call if their kid is not at school to let them know that we know they're not there. We're making sure that they know that they're not here. And we having a weekly award where the classroom with the highest attendance rate for the week will get a traveling trophy, and we go around on Monday and we celebrate that class, and just encouraging teachers, consistently encouraging students to make sure that they're in class every day. A lot of this absence has been because of COVID, when kids are having to go home, and then before they changed the rule on counting those kids as present who were out for quarantine. That wasn't the initial rule at the beginning of the year. And so those kids weren't captured in that. And so they are in this group of that 161, some of them. But if they continue to come to school, they'll come off that list and get into our green list of those students. So right now, like I said, our average daily attendance is 98.8. Any questions about attendance?
I just have one question, which is, excused versus unexcused absences? Is it all the same to them?
Yeah,
Okay.
to the state, it's all the same. So whether it's excused or not, the only thing that excused and unexcused does is keeps the social worker from contacting you. But the state doesn't recognize excused or unexcused. Any other questions about the attendance?
Yes, I have a question. Did you say 91.8 for the students coming?
Yes, 91.8. That's
Eight,
our
okay.
average daily attendance.
Average daily, okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Do you mind stopping the screen share? Oh, yes, sure.
And
As it-
so,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, is there like a specific number, I guess, like percentage that you're trying to reach in terms of?
For the state, for CCRPI, that number is 90%.
90? Okay.
Yeah, we would like for 90% of our students to be present more or less, have no more absences than 10% of the time that they're enrolled.
Do you have any theories as to why the first grade class is the one, or the first grade level is the one with the highest level of absence? Principal Foster?
And it's not a huge gap between the highest and the lowest. It's 92 and 91. So it's not a whole lot of kids. And fourth grade has fewer kids than first grade does. So that could be a part of it too. But it's not a huge gap between the highest and lowest. So it's running about average per grade level of the number of students that are absent each day.
I have one quick question. In terms of tardies, are there a certain amount of tardies that equal an absence that will get the students on?
No.
No, okay, okay. So outside of incentivizing the classrooms, are there any other measures, incentives in place?
Just incentivizing the classroom and individual students for perfect attendance. And then just constantly encouraging students to come. And for elementary kids, for me, I think it's more of a parent issue than a child's issue, because parents, are the ones that make sure you get up and get ready for school. And when that doesn't happen, then, the kid can be at home and want to come to school and be ready to come to school. But if that parent doesn't get them here, then it becomes an issue. Or if they miss the school bus, and that may, if the parents if they don't get them to the school bus on time and they miss the school bus, that could be another issue that is happening as well. And as those come about and we find those, then we reach out to parents, of course, and find out what issues that you're having, that they're not able to either be at the bus stop on time or whatever the case may be. And we try to, through our social worker, try to find ways to make sure that the kids are here.
Okay, so 7:45 is the time. 7:45 is the time that school, literally, like students in chairs, instruction starts. So 7:50, they're considered late.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that has nothing to do with an absent. They can come in up until 11 o'clock and be counted as present. So even when they get that phone call, if they'll call the school and say we're late, so we're like, you can still bring them, they'll be counted as present. So even they can still come up until 11 o'clock and be counted as present.
Okay, all right, thank you.
For people that may not have like another means of getting their kids to school, if the bus is coming earlier than usual this year, have you gotten a sense as to whether the schedule change has thrown people off or made it more challenging for them to get their kids on the bus?
It did initially, but lately it has not been where kids have missed the bus. There were some issues with, the new schedule and having to be out there a little bit earlier, and parents just didn't know. After the first couple of weeks, that kind of died down, and now it's basically either they just missed it and they woke up at 8 o'clock. It's not that I missed it by 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It's
Right.
I missed it by an hour or something like that.
Okay.
With suspension rate, right now, our average daily our daily suspension rate is 0.01. That essentially means that we've only suspended one student for 2 days over the course that we've been in school. And that has been intentional because based on our previous suspension rate over the past couple of years, we make sure that suspension is not the first option for students when they do certain things. And so we've put other things in place to make sure that we're not sending kids home as often. And to be suspended from school, it has to be approved by me, and it has to be something really egregious in order for that to happen. So right now, our suspension rate is great. We don't have any issue with suspending our students. So we're good on that particular front. Any questions about that one?
I'm just curious if you can talk about like what you did, maybe just bring us up to speed a little bit on what was done to get it that low for this school year.
Yeah, and remember, we're only for a couple of months in.
That's
So
fine.
that's another reason that is really low. And our kids really came back calm this school year. I think they were really just ready to be back in school. And so we haven't had the major behavior issues that we've had in the past couple of years. Also, some groups of students that were getting a lot of the suspensions have gone on to middle school. So it's been a number of things that has happened that has led to our numbers being this low. The beginning of the year, we're not having the major discipline issues, just the normal kind of kid stuff, pushing it and making sure that we are coding behaviors correctly and not making sure that they're not warranting a suspension just because certain things are happening. There were things that were happening that we would suspend for that we're not necessarily suspending for moving forward. So all of those have played into the numbers being as low as they are right now. And hopefully that trend will continue. Usually in the spring is when, it begins to ramp it up again, and students begin to misbehave a little bit more. But I think we're in a place where we know that that's going to happen, and we have some strategies in place to make sure that we are ahead of it rather than reacting to it.
This is possibly a dumb
Principal
question.
Foster?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Michelle.
No, I was just going to speak of, I was looking back at the school planning. Does it say the percentage of what it was back in 2019? Or can you tell us what it was prior to what it is now?
Yeah, I can tell you what it was. Last school year, we didn't have any because kids weren't in school.
Right.
The year prior to that, I don't have it in front of me, but it was like 0.4, I believe. But let me check and make sure. And that was at the end of the school year.
Okay, sure. So I wonder if now that it's at a level that is, of course, manageable, is that something that we want to put down in terms of our SMART goals? Like, have we proficiently, and I know we'll get into our SMART goals, but have we proficiently tackled that issue?
I can say that we put strategies in place to address it.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say that we have officially, we can put it to rest because it's too early in the year to decide that right now.
Okay.
And given all the other, things that contributed to where we are right now. I don't know what the spring is going to be, but it could definitely be something that we could, because it was an issue in 2019.
Okay.
Maybe there could be something about like building on the progress that's been made and
Mhm.
continuing to keep the rate low through the strategies that are already in place, plus any additional strategies. Because I'm actually surprised to hear, just because anecdotally I've spoken with parents and a couple staffers at King and Jackson, and it sounds like it's been the opposite. My kids have
Right,
come
yeah.
back
Mhm.
and there's been a lot of conflict between
Right.
students, more so than usual. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of it is just age and developmental stage and all of that. I think it's great to hear that we haven't had that problem, but I also wonder, just like I'm sure they're hoping that this is a blip,
Right.
right? And like, this isn't a permanent situation. Like, is it permanent that kids are going to be maybe more enthusiastic about being at school since they had a taste of being at home?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe some of the bloom will come off the rose at some point and things will become more challenging. I don't know.
Right. And you're right. The middle school and high school, and even as principal, as I've talked to other principal, even some of the other elementary schools have seen a heightened behavior issue since we've been back in school. And I've expressed to them that I just haven't seen that level where we were when we left yet. And this is why I don't want to say that it's taken care of, because we may just be in a honeymoon period, but right now, so far, we have enjoyed, the minor behaviors that kids have gotten into it. We haven't had a major issue just yet. And a lot of those kids that cause those issues are at the middle school right now. So it's probably them. That's just where we are right now. We're in a happy space.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that information, Principal Foster. I think it's useful for us to see where we've been, where we're at, and where we want to be with regards to both of those as we're looking at the strategic plan. And it's a little after 4:30, so that was our last piece of business. So if anyone wants to move to adjourn the meeting, we can go ahead and do that.
I move.
Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Second, okay.
Thank you. All right, we will see each other in another week. And then hopefully the pace can slow down a bit. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.